Hi Aries, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for February 2020. Thanks for joining me. I am going to give you an idea of what February has in store for you. The first thing that happens that's significant is that on the 4th of February, Mercury, the communication planet, goes into Pisces. So Mercury is the planet of how you think. It rules Gemini and Virgo, the signs that have to do with talking and learning and studying. And in Pisces, it's very emotional, it's very spiritual, it's very creative. So for the first 16 days of the month, you're really going to think along those lines. But the other great thing about that, for you guys especially, is that you'll be able to think along these kind of spiritual lines. So, just give me a minute, 1 second, please. I need to just get your chart up in a different way. This is a bit I'd edit out now. Anyway, okay, first, there we go. Okay, there we go. I need to find out for you guys what house Mercury is in, you see, when it goes into Pisces, because that's the important bit, because the houses are what area of your life these events take place. And it goes into, let's just animate this. I'm sorry about the delay, guys, but it goes into Pisces on the 4th. And I think it goes into your 12th house, but let me just double check that. Come on. Ay, ay, ay. Especially for the Aries people, I'm delaying and faffing around. So yes, it does go into Pisces in your 12th house of spirituality. And what that means is that you particularly are going to have this opportunity to connect to yourself and your intuition, and you're also in connection with the higher realms, the universe. So you're going to really be thinking along spiritual lines for the first 2 weeks, and you're really very forgiving. You're very kind of nurturing and selfless. Mercury then retrogrades on the 16th, okay? And Mercury retrograde happens 3 to 4 times a year. So it's something that we have to deal with all the time. It just makes communication more difficult. And it goes into retrograde on the 16th and stays in Pisces for much longer than it usually would, okay? So the fact that for you guys, the fact that you have Mercury in the 12th house of spirituality and your spiritual self means that from the 16th onwards, I would really invest in kind of connecting with my higher self in an explicit way. For the first 16 days, you're going to feel good and you'll naturally feel your guidance and you won't doubt yourself and you'll go for it. During the Mercury retrograde, make sure, check in with your higher self. Is this the right way forward? Dot the I's, cross the T's before you commit to anything. And it stays in Pisces for the whole month, you see, because it would move on to Aries if there wasn't a retrograde. Because we have this retrograde on the 16th, it spends more time in this spiritual, creative, self-sacrificing place, which is good, but it comes with its own pluses and minuses, as everything does. On the 8th of February, we've got Venus, the planet of love and beauty. That goes into Aries in your sign, and it's in your first house of self, and it's there with Chiron, which is at 2 degrees. So what that's telling me is that for you, from the 8th of February until the 16th of February is good to pursue things that have to do with love and the heart, and also to do with things that you love and businesses you want to set up, relationships you want to start. Between the 8th, you have much more confidence and power within yourself. But on the 16th, when the communication planet retrogrades, again, you may gallop off in the wrong direction. So be aware of that. Also, when Venus is in Aries, it can be aggressive. So if someone doesn't, if someone tells you that they don't think it's going to work out, believe them, because they mean it. On the 9th, we have the full moon in Leo. And for you guys, that happens in the 5th house of romance and relationships. And it's a wonderful opportunity for you to have fun and to explore relationships. This is before the Mercury retrograde. So there's really the potential to find love, to find something that you love to do. You've got Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, the three outer planets of luck and structure and change. That's in your career sector in Capricorn at the same time. So while you're playing around in terms of your relationships and having fun and taking the kids to see Disneyland or whatever, those are things that will excite you. But there's also, because you're in such a good place and you get on well with people in February, that you naturally do well in your work as well. Because I keep saying this, but everyone likes to be around someone who's positive and who feels like they know what they're doing, right? So you come across that way very much in February. On the 16th, as I said before, until the 9th of March 2020, Mercury does go retrograde, and it goes retrograde in your 12th house. And Neptune, the water planet that rules Pisces, is also in the 12th house. So you need to be careful about visions of glory, like mirages that never really come true. If anything promises to deliver something glorious or amazing during this period from the 16th to the end of the month and beginning of March, be very, very critical of that kind of stuff, because if it seems too good to be true, it is. And be wary of things promising to do all of these wonderful things and then delivering Zippo. But that's not the case in your working life. It's more in your own kind of spiritual life. So make sure that you keep the inner dialogue positive, that you're clear on what you're doing and what you're looking to get done, all of those kind of things. On the 17th of February, you've got Mars, the male principle of desire, going into your 10th house of career. So now it's the first day when Mercury has gone retrograde. Mars urges you to push on in your career. So please make the decisions about your career in the first half of the month, so that in the second half of the month, from the 17th of February onwards, you can actually push those through. But the time for brainstorming is done. The time for action is here from the 17th onwards. And you're more comfortable with taking action anyway, to make the most of the 2 weeks and the window of opportunity that opens for you to really get in touch with your inner guidance and what your higher self wants from you. And then start doing it while the Mercury is retrograde. The Mercury retrograde makes communication things more difficult. TVs go off, things don't work. It happens 3 to 4 times a year, so we can't live our lives based on Mercury retrograde, but we can be aware of it and be more careful. And also, on the 19th of February, the Sun moves into Pisces, and it goes into your 12th house. So the Sun is now also all about spirituality and that window that opens you up to your higher self. So from the 17th, 16th, really, you get all of these opportunities to say, what are we doing instead of what am I doing by myself? And you don't need all of that at the beginning of Feb, but from the 16th onwards, it's available to you as a resource. I would really recommend that you make use of that resource. On the 23rd of Feb, going through until the end of the month, we've got the new moon in Pisces, which also happens in your 12th house. The midheaven is in there, which indicates what your working life career is. Mercury in retrograde at 9 degrees and Neptune. So Aries, please be careful about weird ideas that you get about your work now. If you've been working very successfully as a pediatrician for 30 years and now you get the idea to become a professional stunt double or to go to clown college, really consider what you're doing, because you may be a little bit off track. It could hurt you in terms of your identity, in terms of your career, in terms of the direction you're going in life. So really make sure to check in with your higher self before you make big commitments and gallop off on these things that are irreversible. So that's what I get for you in Feb. It looks like a great month. If you have any questions that you would like me to look at for you specifically, I draw up your birth chart by taking your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, don't worry, I can rectify the chart for you. Just order that on my website, gregoryscott.com. If you like the video, please hit the subscribe button and share the video online. And I hope you have a wonderful month.